Garth Tilsley is 67 years old. He farms 720 acres outside Roberts, Illinois, on the same ground his grandfather Russell broke with mules in 1937. The tractor Garth drives every spring planting and every fall harvest is the 1979 John Deere 40. His father bought new alongside Garth in March of 1979 for $3,400 cash from the Lyman family Paxton dealership. 130 horsepower, 6-cylinder, 646 XT turbo diesel, quad-range 8-speed transmission, sound guard cab, the same dark factory green Garth has washed every Saturday afternoon for 45 years. The 440 had 11,140 hours on the meter the morning of Saturday, September 21st, 2024, the morning Garth walked out to the open machine shed at 5:40 a.m. and found her gone. If this kind of story matters to you, the kind where the people are real and the iron belongs to somebody, we'd be honored if you subscribed. The shed door was open. The gravel showed fresh tire tracks of a heavy trailer. The 440's chocks were still on the concrete pad. Garth stood in the open doorway for a full minute. Then he walked back to the kitchen and called Evelyn down from the upstairs bathroom. "Evelyn, the 440's gone," Garth said. "Garth, what do you mean gone?" Evelyn asked. "Gone from the shed. Trailer tracks. Door wide open. They took her in the night." "Garth, sit down. I'll call Earl." "Don't call Earl," Garth said. "Earl put the SinoTrack on her in 2023 the day I joined the Cross Brand Club. Earl already knows." Earl Braddock's phone rang at 5:48 a.m. The call was an automated SinoTrack alert from Sunoco Tracking Dispatch in Champaign. The SinoTrack ST-902 4G LTE GPS tracker hardwired into the battery box of Garth Tilsley's 44x40 had reported continuous motion for the previous 64 minutes, departing the Tilsley farmstead at 4:44 a.m., traveling east on Route 24 at an average speed of 38 miles per hour. Earl sat up in bed and listened to the recording twice. He pulled his Wrangler jeans on, his buffalo check flannel, the dark tan Carhartt chore coat, the olive green John Deere mesh cap, and the red wing Irish setter boots. He drove the silver Chevy Silverado 2500 to the Tilsley farmstead in 28 minutes. Garth and Evelyn met Earl in the gravel drive at 6:18 a.m. The eastern sky was a pale pre-dawn pink. Earl pulled the Sunoco tracking dispatch screen up on his phone and turned the screen toward Garth. "Garth, the 440 is currently parked at a gravel lot 14 miles west of Morocco, Indiana, off State Road 14. Stationary for the past 22 minutes. Tracker battery good. Signal strong. Tracker hardware intact." "Earl, you put a tracker on her in 2023? Garth asked. "I put a tracker on every cross-brand club tractor in 2023. Your 4x440, Carroll's 8200, Rufus's Magnum, Adley's 8160, Layla's 4245, 12 tractors at $14 a unit and $9 a month per sim through Sunoco. The club covers the cost. I told you about it the day you joined. You signed the consent." "Earl, I forgot." "Evelyn, did we sign that?" "Garth, we signed it on December 14th, 2023 at the kitchen table. The receipt's in the November 2023 ledger," Evelyn replied. "Earl, what do we do?" Garth asked. "We call Owen Marsh at the Iroquois County Sheriff's Office at 7 a.m. sharp. Owen calls Sergeant Martha Quillen at the Indiana State Police Lowell Post. Quillen runs the Newton County Auto Theft Task Force. The 44th Priority is on her ground now. If you're still here, subscribe. The numbers in this story are real, and so is the iron. Deputy Owen Marsh arrived at the Tilsley farmstead at 7:14 a.m. in the white 2023 Ford Explorer Police Interceptor. Owen wore the tan Iroquois County Sheriff uniform with the brown duty belt and the polished black boots. He pulled the Explorer into the gravel drive, climbed out, and walked up to Garth in the open shed doorway. "Mr. Tilsley, Owen Marsh, Iroquois County Sheriff," Owen said. "Deputy, the 4440 went out the front of this shed sometime between 11:14 p.m. Friday and 4:44 a.m. Saturday morning," Garth replied. "Mr. Tilsley, what makes you certain of those time stamps?" Owen asked. "The SinoTrack ST-902 GPS tracker Mr. Braddock installed in the battery box of the 4440 in December 2023 reported the tractor stationary at 11:14 p.m. and reported the tractor in continuous motion starting at 4:44 a.m. Earl's got the dispatch log on his phone." "Mr. Tilsley, I've worked 4 farm equipment thefts in this county since 2018. None of the prior tractors had a GPS tracker. Today is the first one I've ever worked where the location of the stolen iron is known to the minute. Mr. Braddock, may I see the dispatch log?" Earl handed Owen the phone. Owen pulled the Sunoco tracking dispatch screen up and read through the time-stamped coordinate list. The 4440 had moved from the Tilsley farmstead at 4:44 a.m. on a path east on Route 24 through Buckley at 4:58 a.m. into Watseka at 5:08 a.m., across the Iroquois-Newton County line at 5:24 a.m., through Morocco at 5:32 a.m., and into the Parson Iron Brokers gravel lot at 5:38 a.m. The tractor had been stationary at the Parson lot for the past 96 minutes. "Mr. Braddock, this is the cleanest theft trail I've seen in 7 years on this job," Owen said. "Owen, the trail is the tracker. Sergeant Martha Quillen at the ISP Lowell post needs the live coordinates and the warrant request inside the next hour. I'm calling Quillen at 7:42 a.m. Owen took a written statement from Garth, photographed the gravel tracks, lifted 3 tire tread impressions, photographed the open shed door, and called Sergeant Quillen at the ISP Lowell post at 7:42 a.m. Quillen pulled the SinoTrack live coordinates Earl had texted Owen and dispatched a Newton County deputy to the gravel lot off State Road 14 at 8:04 a.m. The Newton County deputy radioed in at 8:38 a.m. The 4440 was parked behind a chain-link fence on a half-acre gravel lot owned by a Cyrus Parson, 52, operating under the business name Parson Iron Brokers. 2 other recent stolen tractors, a 2002 Case IH MX240 from Champaign County and a 1998 Massey 8160 from Vermilion County, were also on the lot. Cyrus Parson held a prior 2017 Indiana conviction for receiving stolen property, and his Indiana equipment dealer license had been revoked in 2018. Parson was operating illegally. Sergeant Quillen and 4 ISP troopers from the Lowell post executed a search warrant at Parson Iron Brokers at 11:14 a.m. Saturday. Parson was placed under arrest at 11:18 a.m. The 4440 was photographed, fingerprinted, and the SinoTrack ST-902 in the battery box was photographed in place. The small black plastic device wired to the tractor's 12-volt circuit between the master battery cable and the alternator harness, completely hidden under the battery cover. Evelyn called Garth from the kitchen line at 11:42 a.m. Saturday. "Garth, Sergeant Quillen called. They have the 4440. They have Cyrus Parson in custody," Evelyn said. "In custody," Garth repeated. "In custody, and they have the 2 other stolen tractors he was sitting on." "Evelyn, when do we get her home?" "Quillen says she'll release the 4440 from the Indiana evidence hold by Friday morning, September 27th, after the chain of custody photos are processed. Earl can drive over with the Silverado and a flatbed Friday afternoon." "Earl? I'll call him at noon," Garth said. "Earl already knows. He's the one who told Quillen about the SinoTrack hardware." The week between Saturday's recovery and Friday's release was quiet at the Tilsley farmstead. Garth drove to the open machine shed every morning and stood in the doorway and looked at the empty concrete pad and the chocks still where they'd been on Friday night. Evelyn brought the kitchen ledger out to the back porch on Tuesday and showed Garth the December 14th, 2023 SinoTrack consent form they'd both signed. Earl stopped by Wednesday afternoon with a printout of the SinoTrack location history showing the 440's path from the Tilsley shed at 4:44 a.m. Saturday morning across the Iroquois-Newton County line at 5:24 a.m. and into the Parson Iron Brokers gravel lot at 5:38 a.m. Earl drove the silver Chevy Silverado 2500 with Garth in the passenger seat across the Iroquois-Newton County line on Friday morning, September 27, 2024. They pulled into the ISP Lowell post at 9:14 a.m. Sergeant Martha Quillen met them in the lobby in her Navy Indiana State Police uniform with the sergeant chevrons. Mr. Tilsley, Sergeant Martha Quillen, Indiana State Police Auto Theft Task Force, Quillen said. Sergeant, thank you for finding her, Garth replied. Mr. Tilsley, the SinoTrack hardware Mr. Braddock installed, found her. We just executed the warrant. The 4x440 is parked in our impound yard behind the post. 8 days from theft to recovery. That's the fastest farm equipment recovery this task force has logged in 3 years. Sergeant, what happens to Cyrus Parson? Earl asked. Cyrus is being charged with 3 counts of receiving stolen property in Newton County, 2 prior violations of his revoked dealer license, and the federal interstate transport charges for the Champaign County and Vermilion County tractors. His preliminary hearing is October 8th in Newton County Circuit Court. He's sitting in the Newton County Jail without bond. We've already located 11 additional stolen tractors traced to his network through the SinoTrack data trail. 11 more, Garth said. 11 more across 4 states going back to 2022. Mr. Tilsley, your tracker didn't just recover your tractor. It cracked a network the FBI Indianapolis field office had been tracking for 14 months. Sergeant, the credit goes to Earl, Garth said. The credit goes to a $14 piece of hardware in your battery box, and a man who put it there in December 2023, Quillen replied. Without the SinoTrack, the 440 would be in a freight container at the port of Indianapolis by Tuesday morning, Quillen said. Earl and Garth loaded the 4440 onto a 32-foot flatbed Earl had borrowed from Virgil Kemp at 9:44 a.m. Friday. The drive home was quiet. The 4440 sat tied down on the flatbed with her dark factory green paint catching the late September sunlight. Garth rode in the passenger seat with both hands clasped on his knees. Earl drove. They crossed back into Iroquois County at 10:32 a.m. They pulled into the Tilsley gravel drive at 11:14 a.m. Evelyn was on the front porch. Evelyn, she's home, Garth said. Garth, she's home, Evelyn replied. Earl, what do I owe you for the run to Indiana? Garth asked. Nothing, Garth. The Cross Brand Club's emergency fund covers the diesel. Virgil's flatbed rental was $0. The Indiana State Police did the rest. Earl, the SinoTrack stays on the 4440? The SinoTrack stays on the 4440 forever. I'd put a backup tracker in the dash console next week if you let me. Belt and suspenders. Earl, put the backup in, Garth said. Done. Garth's farm insurance carrier, Iroquois Mutual, had assigned an adjuster to the theft claim Saturday morning at 9:14 a.m. The 4440's insured agreed value was $24,800 with a $2,400 deductible. The claim was opened at 10:48 a.m. Saturday and closed without payment at 4:18 p.m. Friday, September 27th, once the recovered tractor returned home undamaged. Iroquois Mutual paid $640 in adjuster fees, $1,220 in interstate transport coordination, and $2,140 in legal liaison costs to Sergeant Quillen's task force, a total $4,900 against what would have been a $2,400 net loss payout had the SinoTrack not pinged the location at 5:48 a.m. Saturday morning. "Earl, the insurance saved $2,400 on this claim alone," Garth said. "Garth, the insurance saved $2,400 on your claim," Earl replied. "Across the 11 other club tractors that haven't been stolen because of the SinoTrack deterrent, the insurance has saved an estimated $186,000 a year in avoided claims since 2024. The Iroquois Mutual Carrier wrote me a $1,240 partner recognition check on Friday." "Earl, that's a return on $14 hardware no insurer can match," Garth said. "That's the math, Garth," Earl answered. "The SinoTrack pays for itself the first ping it sends." The chain of custody documentation from the Indiana State Police Lowell Post was complete by October 4th, 2024. The 4440 had been in Cyrus Parsons' gravel lot for 22 minutes total, long enough for Parson to start drafting a relisting on the Hoosier Iron Marketplace at $19,400 under a fictitious seller name. Sergeant Quillen turned over the printed listing draft to Owen Marsh in Iroquois County. At the interagency briefing on October 7, 2024, the draft listing showed Parsons' planned asking price for the 4x4 Haul 40 as $90,400, over double what the cash consideration would have netted in a clean black market transaction. Cyrus Parsons' preliminary hearing on October 8, 2024 in Newton County Circuit Court ended with him pleading guilty to 2 of the 3 receiving stolen property counts in exchange for cooperation against the larger trafficking network. By December 12, 2024, the FBI Indianapolis field office had arrested 4 additional individuals in Parsons' network across Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, and Michigan. Total stolen farm equipment recovered in the operation by year-end 2024, 38 tractors and 9 combines, with an aggregate fair market value of $440,000. Earl drove out to the Tilsley farmstead on Sunday afternoon, October 13, 2024, with a small unmarked package containing the backup SinoTrack ST-902 unit. He met Garth in the open machine shed where the 4440 sat parked on her concrete pad with the chocks back in place. Earl wore the olive-green John Deere mesh cap, the dark tan Carhartt chore coat over the buffalo check flannel, the Wrangler jeans, and the Red Wing Irish setter boots. His steel blue eyes met Garth's. "Garth, backup unit," Earl said. "Earl, where do you want her?" Garth asked. "Inside the dash console under the speaker grill. The first one's still hot in the battery box. 2 units mean if a thief finds and disables one, the other still pings." "Earl, I'll keep the second one a secret from Evelyn?" "Tell Evelyn. Don't tell anyone else. The Cross Brand Club knows there's a primary unit on every member tractor. Nobody outside the club knows about the secondary." "Earl, what would have happened if Parson had been smart enough to find the SinoTrack?" "He'd have ripped it out, and the 4440 would still be on his lot under a fake serial number sticker bound for an export container at the port of Indianapolis. The Indiana State Police trace tells me 3 of Parsons' network's prior tractors went to South America through that same port between 2022 and 2024. "South America," Garth said. "South America. Your 44x40 was 8 days and a $14 unit away from Argentina. Earl, I owe you more than coffee." "You owe me coffee, Garth. The SinoTrack and the Cross Brand Club's emergency fund handled the rest." "Coffee's on me from now until the day I die," Garth said. "Coffee's on you," Earl replied. The Cross Brand Club met at Virgil's two-bay shop on Route 9 the Saturday following the recovery, October 5, 2024. Adley Cordis, Rufus Hemmings, Wayland Osborne, Carol Eustace, Garth Tilsley, Layla Parrish, and 7 other members sat in folding chairs around the open bay door drinking coffee and trading details from the 440 recovery. "Garth, walk us through it," Adley said. 4:44 a.m. on Saturday morning, the SinoTrack pings continuous motion, Garth replied. 5:38 a.m., the tractor's stationary at Parsons Lot, 14 miles west of Morocco, Indiana. 11:14 a.m., the same morning Cyrus Parson is in cuffs. 8 days later, the Ford 440 is back on her concrete pad in my shed. 22 minutes total time from when Parson's flatbed arrived to when his front gate closed. He didn't even pull her into a garage. He left her in the open lot, Garth said. "Garth, what was Parson going to do with her?" Wayland asked. Parson had a draft listing on the Hoosier Iron Marketplace ready to publish at $400 under a fake seller name, Garth answered. Quillen pulled the draft from his work laptop in the warrant search. The relisting would have gone live Tuesday morning, October 1st. "Garth, where would the buyer have come from?" Carol asked. Quillen says the buyer would have been a freight broker working for a container exporter at the port of Indianapolis, Garth replied. 3 of Parsons' prior tractors went to Argentina between 2022 and 2024. The 4440 was 8 days away from a freight container. "Earl, where do we go from here?" Adley asked. 2 backup units on every club tractor by November 30th, Earl said. Owen Stern's underwriting the SIM cost expansion through 2025. Owen Marsh is presenting the recovery to the Iroquois County Sheriff's Office community meeting on October 23rd. We expect 80 to 100 new sign-ups out of that room. "Earl, where does the club end?" Layla asked. "The club ends when every tractor in 3 counties has hardware on her, Layla," Earl replied. Cyrus Parson is one operator in one network. There are 6 more networks across the Midwest the FBI is tracking through 2024. The club doesn't end. It just gets bigger, Earl said. The Iroquois County Sheriff's Office held a community meeting at the Onarga Community Center on Wednesday, October 23, 2024, at 7 p.m. Deputy Owen Marsh and Sergeant Martha Quillen jointly presented the Parson Network case to a packed room of 240 county farmers. They walked through the SinoTrack hardware installation, the tracker's role in recovering Garth's 4440, and the wider operation that had now recovered 47 stolen tractors across 4 states. By the end of the presentation, 86 farmers in the room had signed up for SinoTrack installations through Earl's Cross Brand Club at the same $14 hardware cost and $9 monthly SIM rate. The Cross Brand Club's covered tractor count rose from 14 in early 2024 to 100 by the end of November 2024. Earl sat at the kitchen table with Ruth at 8 p.m. that evening. The white ceramic coffee pot sat between them. Ruth wore her quilted vest over a Henley. "Earl, 86 new club members," Ruth said. 86 new club members. The annual SIM cost the club covers just went from $1,512 to $10,800. "Can the club afford that?" Ruth asked. Owen Stern at Stern Equipment offered to underwrite the SIM cost as a thank you for the parts revenue the Cross Brand Club's pushed through his counter since 2023. Owen's covering the $10,800 against the $186,000 in 2024 parts moves. He'll write the check Friday. "Earl, what would you have done if the SinoTrack hadn't been on the 4440? "We'd have called Owen Marsh at 5:48 a.m. and Garth's 4440 would be in Argentina by Christmas. The hardware made the difference. Garth's signed consent in December 2023 made the difference. Owen Stern's underwriting makes the next 86 tractors safe from the same fate. Earl, you saved a 1979 4440, Ruth said. The hardware saved her, Ruth. I just put it there. Earl, same thing. Same thing, Ruth, Earl replied. Dale Voss came by the Braddock farmstead on a clear Tuesday morning in early November 2024 in his white GMC Yukon. Earl, heard about Garth Tilsley's 4i440, Dale said. You heard? Earl said. Heard you put a Chinese tracker on his battery? I put a SinoTrack ST-902 4G LTE unit on his battery, made in Shenzhen, sold at 4 tons, monthly SIM at $9. Same hardware the Iroquois County Sheriff's Office uses on their fleet vehicles. Same hardware the FBI field office in Indianapolis recommended to the Rural Sheriff's Network in 2023. The hardware doesn't care where it was made. It pinged the location, and the Indiana State Police did the rest. You put 100 of them on tractors? I put 100 of them on cross-brand club member tractors with each owner's signed consent. The 100 tractors run from Loda to Watseka to Mahomet. 3 counties. The next time a Cyrus Parson runs a flatbed up a gravel drive at 4:44 a.m., he'll be on a Newton County impound yard by 11:14 a.m. the same day. You make it sound noble. I make it sound right, Dale, Earl replied. A 1979 4440 with 11,840 hours and a 45-year-old Tilsley family means more than the $19,400 Cyrus Parson was going to list her at on the black market. Dale shook his head with a wide, smug, mocking smirk and a dismissive grin and climbed back into the Yukon and drove off without another word. The 1979 John Deere 4440, belonging to Garth Tilsley, sat back in the open machine shed of the Tilsley farmstead outside Roberts, Illinois, on the night of November 20th, 2024, with 2 SinoTrack ST-902 units installed, the primary in the battery box, the secondary in the dash console under the speaker grill. The 11,840 hours on the meter became 12,118 by the end of 2024 fall harvest. 0 unscheduled service, 0 parts failures, 0 overnight thefts. The framed October 2024 thank you card from Sergeant Martha Quillen of the Indiana State Police Lowell Post sits on Earl's kitchen mantel beside the cards from Carol Eustace, Rufus Hemmings, Layla Parrish, the Whitaker family, the Cowood family, and the 11 other families recovered through Earl's quiet work. Ruth has truly run out of mantle. Earl, we need that wall, Ruth said. We need that wall, Ruth, Earl replied.